Alright, so I've brought Naz to another dinky back alley. We're sitting. Where are we, Naz?
Rome.
We're in Rome. We're not in Rome. That's a huge lie.
We've stepped off the crazy walking pavements, slow people, Russia, St. Petersburg,
Yeah.
Saturday afternoon, rare sunny afternoon,
Yeah.
to a quieter courtyard.
Yes. And in fact, we're sitting in a kid's playground in fake Rome, inside a car. Like a kid's car. Okay.
You might need to take a photo of this later,
Well,
just to put things into perspective.
Okay, there's some random strangers in the background, so I might get them to take a photo of us sitting inside the child's car. And by the way, this car is not tall enough for a human being, so like, I am like a pretzel. Now seems to be okay, but I am like a freak, like a freakishly long body. So
Well, I've learned from sitting in this car right now that my legs are quite short, but I've got a long torso because it's the torso bit that's uncomfortable.
yeah, I'm gonna do one of these. Just, hi, Laura. Okay, so all right, so it's been over 2 years since I last interviewed Naz in this very official format, in a child's car. so, so I'm sure things have changed. So basically, Naz went to China and she came back to Russia. So clearly she's got a few problems up here. Okay, so Naz, why did you come back to Russia? In the short, less poisonous version.
Less poisonous version. Couldn't sponsor someone else's visa documents.
Yeah, dire. Alright, cool. And so, so how long were you away for? Like, how long were you in China?
The second time, about 9 months.
Okay, cool. So you had a secret baby in China.
Yeah.
And then came back.
Yeah.
That's like, alright, and so obviously you were away for a little while, but moreover, like, how have you noticed? Because you've now been in Russia for total, excluding that break, for like how many years?
In August, fall.
Okay, that's a pretty long time. So, like, and how? Yeah. Please don't get blood on my face.
No, remember
no
the
brains,
suicide
please.
bridge was like bridge 4, I said.
I'm not even going to give context to that. All right, so and how have things changed? So in this 4-year time, so since you first arrived, and then perhaps even before and after the break, like if there were any changes then, because I guess you came back just as things in Crimea were kicking off. Yeah.
What type of changes? Like, what part of, like, what are you talking about? Just like
Well,
broadly, or
Yeah, like broadly,
something
and I guess in
specific?
terms of mainly the people and stuff. I mean, yeah, for myself, I've noticed that there's things have changed in terms of living standards. Like even that restaurant, we're just at the cafe, we're just at, like that would be at home in Melbourne. Like it was kind of Art Deco and cool, and there was park benches and vegetarian food and cider.
I know the vegetarian
Cherry
food, I
cider.
think, is one of the biggest things
Yeah.
that has changed over the past 4 years, because my best friend came to visit. He's vegetarian, vegan, in 2011, shortly after I arrived, and it was really difficult
Yeah.
finding like decent vegetarian food. So often we'd cook at home, and explore. But like you saw now, there has been a boom, and I don't know if it's because of the whole hipster culture which they have, because what you'll find is, like you just did now, it's got that hipster sort of crowd and feel to it. You do have the other type of vegetarian option where you're looking at the more hippie crowd, those guys who've been to Southeast Asia and have come back
and like
come back with dreads
colourful
and
tie-dyed shit.
that's it. So
Awesome.
I don't really see any fine dining vegetarian options.
Sorry, I'm just like, so we got fine dining when we're sitting
Yeah.
just inside of this vehicle
Yeah.
that we're in. It just seemed really weird.
Yeah, but
Right.
you're not going to go into a place like, let's say, one of the Ginza Project restaurants and find quality vegetarian food.
Yeah.
It's still going to be predominantly meat based.
Yeah, and dill based.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, cool. And what about more broadly? So in terms of people and society and stuff, have you noticed anything like in terms of, I guess, people's attitudes or attitudes towards other places, or I don't want to ask any leading questions.
It's a tricky one to answer, actually. How can I say this without the venomous undertones?
There's so many people just walking through this courtyard right now.
True.
Yeah.
I don't think the change is good for the more open-minded, liberal, left-wing type of person.
Yeah. And they do exist here.
They do.
Not
they do
loud
exist.
and proud.
Yeah.
Too. Not loud and proud.
I think probably most of them live abroad.
Yeah.
And they might still have investment in the country, but with the way things are going, that obviously affects their lifestyle abroad. So for example, you've got those, Muscovites who own properties in Moscow, but who can work, from Thailand because they either IT engineers or they've got money to invest also in Thailand.
Yeah.
So as a result, with what's happened is now they need to consider, do we move back or do we sacrifice something of our life, over there? So I think, to answer the question, there are noticeable changes within society. I can't say that it's for the good, but then I fall into that liberal category.
Yeah, so if you're like a really conservative, like very much, traditional lifestyle type of person, then you maybe will be, seen as a good thing.
Yes.
All right, that's fair enough. Like that, yeah, that's kind of things I've heard. I mean, and I guess in terms of people I've caught up with here and stuff like that. I mean, one girl was saying how, she's quite liberal. And a few of the people I caught up with are quite liberal. I just happened that way. And she was saying how, because she was so open about it and things, like she would actually, get yelled at and get really persecuted by the people around her. Like not even just in terms of social life, in terms of working life and stuff as well. And I mean, I don't know if I would be that person if, I was a Russian. Like, I mean, if, I was one of those rare liberal Russians, I don't know if I would be outspoken about it because, like, you would suffer so much, I think.
You would, but what I can see happening, just because of what I do, the older liberal person, they are investing in their kids.
Yeah.
Because they have probably realized, it's a little bit too late for me to get out. It's maybe a little bit too difficult for me to get out, but I can get my kid out of this situation.
Yeah.
So they are really pushing their kid.
Yeah.
I mean, as one student of mine said, my parents want me to be the brains of the world, and they are adamant that, that the kid goes and studies abroad and not in Russia. And they will do anything for this opportunity.
Well, it's like another person I caught up with has just finished high school, and so she was doing a history exam for that. And like one of her parents is very much liberal and very sort of anti-current regime and stuff like that as well. So she's brought up in this kind of like liberal household and has been taught, I guess, a version of history and events that we would be more familiar with as Westerners. But then, like, her parents were really worried when she was doing a history exam that she would accidentally say that version of events instead of the Russian version of events. Like, they were really concerned for her, like, that she would, fail the exam. Not so much, like, physical danger concern, but just that she'd fail the exam because she'd forget which version of history to use, which is just such a weird thing.
It is. You know what? We live in the age of the internet now.
Yeah.
And as I've said before, the restriction on the internet usage over here hasn't got to where countries like North Korea and China have.
Yeah.
So for people to be ignorant, it's a terrible excuse, because if you want to get the information, it's out there. And I think this is what bugs me the most, is that people don't want the information.
Yeah, that's it. Like, because I read a blog post the other day, which you haven't read, but like people who are watching this may have read. And I was speaking with a guy from the hostel, and he's really bright, like he's a really smart guy, but man, his opinions like reflected everything I'd ever read in Russian propaganda ever. And he just sounded crazy to me, absolutely crazy. And I was like, you know what? He sort of like boasts about reading Russian, reading English, and reading news from both sources or whatever. I'm like, well, great, that's good for you, but which news are you choosing to read? Are you, like, because like you said, there's no excuse for this kind of ignorance. And all of his arguments, they weren't logically based. They were based in sort of like really sort of conservative ideas that you'll be told. Like this is how the world works. Like the example of like he was ranting and ranting and ranting about gays forever. Oh God.
See,
Yeah.
the thing is like a lot of the people here are very educated when it comes to things like the arts.
Yeah.
You know, they've read the classics. They can probably play a musical instrument.
Yeah.
And that's fine to have that talent.
I'm so uncomfortable. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Bit of a rearrangement. The focus is all on you, Naz.
No. Do you want it on the
Oh,
side?
here we go.
Okay.
That's pretty good. We can see more of our car now. Look, over here.
Yeah.
Out the window. Oh,
Yeah.
in fact, here's a steering wheel. Awesome. Oh.
It's fun. We should drive somewhere.
Let's not. Let's drive far away, Naz. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
You know, but how does being able to enjoy a classical book written in a prose that isn't even what we use in modern day beneficial and helpful to living in 2015?
Yeah. It's bizarre.
I think in our world right now, as we said, it's the age of the internet. Our world has become a smaller place. We need to know more about the people who live next door to understand them a little bit more. And that's what's lacking over here is people don't have a desire to get to know their neighbor. They're interested in reading their neighbor's book from 500 years ago, but they're not interested
Neighbor has some old books.
Yeah.
Really old books.
You know, they're not willing to go over to the neighbor's house and go like, hey, I am blah, blah, blah. You know, let's sit down and talk. And it's
These are more metaphorical things. I wouldn't do it with my neighbours in Belgium either. But do you
I'm
know?
talking metaphorically.
Yeah.
No.
We're being metaphorical, just so we're really clear.
Yeah.
Like, we're being very metaphorical.
You know,
Talking about like country neighbours.
I take into sort of like things with like some of my American colleagues, you know, they are asked about things that happened, you know, years ago in their country. But when it comes to, and I'm pretty sure like just the other day, yesterday was it, when same-sex marriages became legal.
I know. I was told everyone in the hostel, and half the people were like, ugh. I'm like, it's awesome, guys.
Yes, like that they wouldn't be able to get around. Yet that's a modern day topic.
Yeah.
You know, they still talking about the, you know, American independence. They still stuck in that era because
300 years ago, eh?
Yeah. And it reflects in the society, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And the mentality of the people around here, which is a shame. And I do think that, going into the horrible topic of politics, I do think that that is how and why politicians can easily manipulate people.
Yeah. Just a lack of critical thinking and a lack of choice.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess this is the kind of thing that I try to be really clear about when I'm talking about Russia. It's like, you know, I'm not anti-Russia. I'm not, you know, like anti-regime or anything like that. But what I want is better for Russia.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I want people to have choices and not, you know, live one way because they're told that's the way they should live and that's the way they have to live. And I mean, I want people to sort of see that there is more to the world. And I mean, the other thing is, you know, because Russia has such a highly educated population, and they've got so many resources and stuff, and they could have a fantastic lifestyle and yet be much more like the West, or, you know, however they want to live, and that's fine. But instead, they're sort of, you know, trapped in this country which, yeah, they're told this is the way you live, this is the only way you live. You know, you get married, you have kids, whatever. You'll never be rich. You'll always be struggling. You must have these conservative ideals. This is how you must live. I mean, and realistically, I mean, there's not a huge opportunity for, you know, business success or whatever the case may be, because, you know, you get too big and you're going to start to have problems. I mean, and you've also kind of got to be big to start with, but obviously you can't afford the bribes and stuff that it'll cost to, you know, get you to build your business or whatever the case may be. And I just, you know, I know there's so many people here who are just brilliant and they are so good, and it's just a pity that they don't have options and choices.
Yeah, that's the key word over there. Options.
Yeah.
I don't know, like I think it's going to take a lot longer than what people think to break this.
Yeah.
You know, and
it's like
people. Sorry, I
was having a conversation with the girl in the hostel in Moscow the other day, and she's one of the staff there. And it was just really weird. Like, we're just chatting away and stuff, and like we had the same lip balm, but like mine was from Belgium, hers was from Russia. So like, oh my god, we have the same one. And then we're just talking about dinosaurs and stuff, and like we're having a great time because like she also loved dinosaurs. And she's like, why can't it be this easy with men, Laura? Like, why, you know, like 'cause we love each other, but like with men it's so hard, it's so challenging. Like, can't we just give up and like get married? I was like, sure, we can get married, no problem. It's like, I don't really swing that way, but that's cool. And I was like, oh, you know, it might be in a while though. Like, what do you reckon? 30 years in Russia? She goes, oh, maybe you should just come to wherever you are, Laura. So like, you know, even these young people think, oh, 30 years isn't going to be like long enough for any kind of liberalization, sort of in that sense in Russia. I mean, I can't see it, you know, being more liberalization in other spheres either, in terms of, you know, feminism or education, or even like, you know, how the education system is. Like, it's difficult to see any of that stuff changing, you know, within what is much less than a generation in Russia. Because I mean, generation in Russia is like 20 years or something.
But at the same time, there's that complacency factor that I don't like.
Yeah, oh, it's Russia.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes. You know, to kind of go like from where I'm from, people stood up and they fought. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, unfortunately, there will be deaths
Yeah.
in a fight for what you believe in.
Mm-hmm.
People over here don't seem to be interested to fight for what they believe in.
Mm-hmm.
They're good at talking a good game, but they're not good at doing a good game.
Yeah, no, I found that as well.
You know, and that's why I'm often sort of torn between, do they really strongly want the change, or are they just happy to go along with how things
Is it just
are?
like too hard?
Like, are they happy with living with broken potholes in the roads and lights that don't work and water that goes off every summer for fixing pipes, right?
Just a mystery.
Yeah.
Just a mystery reason. The water turns off.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
Mystery time. No warning. No warning how long it will last for. Just one day. Oh, there's no hot water now.
like the rates in the complex where I live, it's going up in September, yet very often the light outside the complex doesn't work. So you get home, you know, in the middle of winter and it's late at night and it's dark, and I'm thinking, why am I paying this extra money? You know, I personally get angry. I actually want to graffiti my anger, sorry, on the wall.
Just graffiti your angry.
Angry.
Like a little stick figure, like bashing something.
Yes, but I often, you know, hear people in the complex complain about it.
Mm-hmm.
But what's the use of complaining? Why not do something about it?
That's fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree. But you know, we're those Western infiltrators, though, aren't we?
True.
Yeah, we're those spoiling with our values and our ideas and our concerns.
I put that down to just because we've known a different world.
Yeah.
These guys haven't, so they don't know what it can actually be like.
Well, it's like your friend who recently went to the US.
Yeah.
And so she's now sort of had that different experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's finding it slightly hard to understand now why things are the way they are in her country.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Because I remember you saying that, you know, she was really surprised that, you know, Americans not hating Russians, for example.
Yes.
Or not thinking about Russia at all,
like not
ever,
all the time.
Every time.
And you know, just like
those evil Americans.
yeah, like basic things that she saw that's lacking over here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like, well, whose story do I believe now?
Yeah.
The story or that story?
Yeah.
And I think she's in for probably a couple of difficult months because she also doesn't really know what she wants from life.
Yeah.
So I can only be there in a very supportive sort of friend role.
We understand.
Yeah.
We understand.
But at the end of the day, it is her decision what she
sure.
decides to, you know, to do with her life.
Okay.
And the way she decides to do it.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Alright, well, I asked you this last time, but what are 3 things, if I could go 3 things that you hate about Russia, apart from things we've already covered, I guess. Maybe just one thing you hate about Russia. If there's something you're still fiery enough about to hate.
I forgot. Remind me, what did I say the last time?
I didn't actually rewatch it. I just remember that I asked you 3 things that you hated, 3 things that you liked. And you liked Siberia. I can't remember the things that you hated. I think people walking slowly might have been one of them. They still walk slowly.
If I've got to sum up like what I don't like into one thing,
No big ask. Yeah. It's totally fine.
I would say the arrogant, again conservative, me attitude.
Okay, yeah. That's fair enough.
That's what really bugs me, because I can't see how those three things together can really, turn into something positive.
No rainbows, yeah.
Yeah, no
Or
unicorns.
We saw a unicorn on Nifty just before. It was pretty
Yeah.
pretty epic.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and 3 things that you like. There's one thing you hate. 3 things that you like. Because I like positive notes.
Yes. I do enjoy the winters. I think I might have mentioned that before.
It's easy to sleep.
I just love that it's cold and there's not that many people outside.
Yeah. She just doesn't like people is the common theme here. No people, please.
Still, what do I like? Got me thinking on this one. You caught me off guard with this. Forgot about this question.
Yep.
Maybe still the selection of vodkas. Thankfully, there's no ban on them, so vodka is cheaper than a tomato right now.
Yeah.
Expect the country's plan to decrease alcoholism to actually increase.
Yep, for sure.
Yes.
Number 3?
The other thing is probably the enigma about the place.
Okay, yep.
That's what keeps it fascinating.
In terms of, like, it's actually mysterious, or in terms of... I mean, because for me, it was like anything could happen at any time, and there would be no reason for it. Every day was an adventure. Like, you get through the day, you're like, fuck yeah, I made it. Yeah!
Yeah, there's just no... You can sit down and you can analyze something, for as long as possible, whether it be, what the person is going to say or do next, or what, society is going to say or do next. But there's always that surprise factor.
It's like a pass the parcel.
Yeah.
You keep unwrapping a layer and you find a new treat or a new
Yes.
surprise.
Yes.
Sometimes the surprise is bad, and then one day, you don't know how big the parcel is or like how thin the paper is or whatever, but someday you'll get to the middle and
Yes.
you don't know what you're going to find there.
Yeah. And I'd say, like, that hairdresser we were in the other day,
Yeah.
that was like a surprise.
So random. So random.
That's the sort of like randomness
Yeah,
that I would say I still enjoy
Your
about the place.
alcoholic friends.
Yeah.
Your friend
The
that smelled
The alcoholic hairdresser who cut my hair.
results.
Yes.
Cool. Well, unless you've got something amazing to add, I think we'll end it there. Oh, we might actually end with a fantasy video of this car and our surrounds.
Yes.
If I don't even know if I can get it out, to be honest. Like, I had to kind of climb in here. I'm really like, it would be even be easy to reverse out backwards. I'm gonna give it a go. Hang on, here we go.
Okay.
Oh, I'm feeling brave. I'm feeling very brave. Oh, laptop out first. Yes. So, I was like, say hi, Naz. Okay, and meanwhile, we have the Colosseum on the wall over here. Oh, apparently I'm bad at walls. It's this wall. Yeah. So we are in Italy we're in a small car. All right. Say bye, Naz.
Bye.